Hello goddesses, and welcome to another episode of the Reclaim Your Goddess Power series. Like always, I am so honored and so grateful that you have clicked on this video and that we are on this journey together. I love the idea of an open community, so if you would like to comment down below your thoughts and ideas on today's episode, I would appreciate that, and then us as goddesses can communicate back and forth different ideas and different viewpoints. I did something a little bit different this week. If you're subscribed to my podcast, which I'm not sure if you have to subscribe, but you can subscribe if you'd like to keep up on that as well. But I did the empowerment message of Kali Monday night, so yesterday, and tonight I'm doing the actual video, which is the alignment message. So the empowerment message is up on my podcast, Life of an Everyday Goddess, available on Spotify, Apple, Overcast, Anchor, and a bunch of other fun platforms, but those are like the main four that I see people go on, so those are the main four I'm going to give to you guys. Also, if you like to keep up with this series and also just other content that I give out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that like button, of course, while you're at it. Might as well just do both. They're like right there. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into today's goddess. One of my all-time favorite goddesses, Kali. She is by far, I think, the most. I had to think about that. I'm like, is she the most? Yes, she is the most misunderstood goddess in my opinion. Yes, that's my opinion. But yeah, she is the goddess of death and destruction, which also symbolizes rebirth. Think about a caterpillar, right? They live their life as a caterpillar, they don't know anything else, and then one day they're in a cocoon and then they flourish, right? And so it's the death of one skin, one thing into your next steps. So for me, it's liberating, which is also the goddess of liberation, and I don't know, it's like rejuvenating, and it's not easy when you're going through a transition of any sort. Think of like all the transitions you had in your life, even like the simple ones, like transitioning from like a kid to a teenager, from a teenager to an adult. Those are all life transitions, and we change and evolve through all of those steps, majority of us. Anyways, that is what she represents. She is also she is the most powerful Hindu goddess of all the Hindu goddesses that are out there, and she is like a badass warrior, and I can relate to her. I'm like, get it. I don't like being taken advantage of because I had lived that reality, and then like I shedded my skin from that, and so now it's like after you've been liberated from that reality, whenever you start to see it creep up on you, you're like, no, not for me. You can always choose to repeat patterns. It's just gonna keep having you go through the same process of destruction eventually, because it doesn't serve your highest good. I am really excited for this alignment message because I peeked a little bit from like yesterday when I was reading the empowerment message, and I'm like, ooh, it's so good. It's so good, especially now that we had so much destruction at the beginning of the year with lockdown and quarantine and people having to revamp their life. It's a good time to put this message out, especially, I guess it's any time is a good time because we can all be going through things at different points in our lives. So I'm excited. Now I love the fact that this deck has Kali looking just like a beautiful, softer version of herself, because if you look up her image, it looks really, really scary. She has like a sword, and she's holding like a severed head, and she like has her tongue all out. I'm not sure why so many illustrations are based off that one part of her legacy and what she's about, and I'm assuming it's because it showcases how powerful she really is. So the reason she has like the guy's head and then the dagger and she's all warrior mode is because she just defeated this like crazy demon that nobody else could defeat, and every time they tried to like get at this demon, like he would multiply, and so she was the only one powerful enough to defeat him. And then she gets like really excited and she starts prancing around and dancing, and I guess Shiva, which is her counterpart, was the only one who could really stop her. So that's why you see a lot of depictions of her on top of him. But there is another theory on why she is on top of him. It's contrast of yin and yang. The divine masculine and the divine feminine, when they come together, it brings union and harmony and balance. So Shiva, which is her counterpart, which is the male energy, her formless awareness, just that like blank, like when you're in that meditative state, and that's just like that blank, just endless possibilities because you can go anywhere state. And literally that's like the manifestation state. It's where you come up with like all of what you want to bring into your life. So he represents that, which is like conscious bliss is what he represents. So he's on the bottom. And then when you move upwards, you see her, and she's always like depicted as like either like blue color or like black color. That's just to represent the contrast, just like the yin and the yang symbol. Kali represents the actual form, the actual manifestation brought into fruition. So think about the Big Bang Theory. So you have this universe, it's just like this empty space, and then it's like bang, and it has to have some type of destruction and bang and powerful force in order for everything else to manifest, right? So all the planets, all of the universes, everything manifests from this like big voltage of energy that could be considered destruction, but it's actually creation. And to me, that is what Kali represents. So not so much destruction, more so creation, because that rebirth is you stepping into newer powers, higher self, higher being. Also, the reason that Kali is usually depicted with a bunch of just skulls all around her neck, it's always like skulls of like men. So funny to me, but it's to represent the ego. So she's actually a very nurturing, a very protective warrior goddess that is very, very powerful. And a lot of people get off-putted by that. But the reason they say is because a lot of times when people are still attached so much to ego, they can't see beyond that, right? So it's like looking beyond the veil. So whenever you're at a certain state of enlightenment and you've worked on yourself and you've opened up different portals and you've come to realizations of different things spiritually, you see the world completely differently. And so the things that used to drive you don't drive you anymore. Ego is driven by, I want to be the best, I want to be better than this person, I want to look better than this person, I want to make X amount of money, I want to drive this car, I want to live here. That's all ego based. That doesn't bring true value to your life, to your soul, to your being. There's people who have endless money, who are so internally unhappy. All the people that I've ever met in my life that are extremely successful, business owners, CEOs, successful people, successful, money that they could do whatever with, kind of money, okay? They're the most medicated, self-medicated people I have ever encountered, ever. And then I know people who live paycheck to paycheck, but they're so happy and their mental health is so much better. And that's because they don't have ego. They're humble with what they have. Have you ever seen pictures and it's like somebody who's crying over like a pair of socks they got for their birthday? Because it's all perception. They realize and they're humble with whatever is placed in front of them. And so me, I used to desire certain goals and stuff like material things. And as I've gotten older and evolved, I desire different things. And it frustrates me on another level when people are still so much in that ego where they can't see past a material thing. Money, cars, whatever. Like they can't see past that. And I'm like, how? And I have to remind myself we're all in different states of evolution. And so do I want to backtrack my own evolution to appease these people, or do I want to be the one that shows them what life is without an ego to help push them to that place? Because if enough of us are pushed into the state of higher consciousness where we see past the illusions, the competitiveness, the personal gain, and we see the world for what it is, the energy that it is, what you bring in, what you give out, all of that good stuff, then magnetically, frequency-wise, there's too many people that are thinking this way and this type of consciousness that all the people who are still stuck in an ego-based, lower frequency will have to get shoved back into where the majority of people are. And that's why sometimes it's like a yo-yo effect, because people will get into a certain state of enlightenment and then push back based on who they're hanging around, etc. And so then it's like this. It's literally like going back and forth. It's like a ping pong. And I'm guilty of that too. I've gone back and forth. I've gone to a state of consciousness and then I've derailed and then gone and then derailed. But every time I've derailed back, I get shifted back to this other consciousness. Like, nope, you're not supposed to be there. You're not supposed to hang out with that crowd. You need to go over here with this crowd. And I'm like, but I really want to hang out with this crowd. And they're like, no. And then the universe is like, no, we need your energy over here. And I don't know if that's going to make sense to every single person watching this right now, but eventually it will. It will make complete sense. I have full faith that we will all get to our next steps collectively and then continue to grow, because we can't shift until there's enough energy in one plane. Okay? That's why so many people push certain things to lower the frequencies, drugs, alcohols, sex is like everywhere. And that's why. Because that brings in lower frequency. And lower frequency, people are more easily manipulated because we're not in our power. And again, that is the reason for this series, to help awaken the goddess within, help you reclaim your power so we can all get to our next phases in life. I know that was a huge rant, but I think it was needed because it just flowed out of me. I don't know, it just came out. So apparently that's a message for one of us, probably myself, I don't know. But this is Kali's card. Ooh, I love this one. Again, this looks much better than like if you Googled her image. When resentment and anger fester below the surface, the unprocessed emotions simmer until they boil over. It's easy to project anger, envy, and ancient inherited rage on others we perceive as the source of our discontentment. Okay, let's just pause right there for a second. It is easy to fall into resentment, to get angry. I'm guilty of it. I'm sure we all have done this. We have to learn to forgive ourselves for feeling those ways and letting it go. I'm not saying you have to forgive and forget every single scenario that happens. Use it as a learning lesson. Use it as a part of your evolution. Okay? How are you going to use that anger to transform? Fire is transformative and it's very rapid. So it's like a rapid change. That's why sometimes all the emotions come out at once. That's because whatever you're clinging on to, it's been too long and you're well overdue, so it needs to come rapidly. So I know it sucks when you go through it. Trust me, I get it. But trust me, the after is so worth it. The after is so worth it. Trust me. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep reading. I'm gonna put her back up. When something triggers these emotions, we can project onto strangers as well as people closest to us. Nobody wins when so much pain is unleashed into the world. No matter what your condition, your alignment task is to find a way to channel this rage, this anger, these feelings into creativity. Make something out of it, of yourself, and so you don't create destruction just because you can. Girl, ain't that the truth? Women, we have the power of birth. We have the power to create life, to create so many beautiful things, but we also have the power of destruction. When you're feeling that rage, when you're feeling that anger, center yourself and instead of latching out, distance yourself from what's causing the anger, self-reflect, purge out anything that you might be feeling, whether it's you need to cry first, you need to journal, you need to meditate, you need to dance, you need to walk outside, and then tap into that creative energy that we all possess as goddesses. And use that anger and turn it into something that's gonna benefit you, that's gonna push you to that next level, that's gonna help you get to the next states so those patterns can hopefully get broken. You don't have to continue to deal with things that once hurt you and try to take power over you. Okay? That's why we get triggered so much, because we're enraged with the ideas that we do not agree with. Be willing to be teachable, even if it's uncomfortable. Like I said, this is not an easy process by any means, but if you are open to it, everything will fall into alignment and a lot sooner than you might think. Have what it takes. Now make something meaningful and be someone you are proud of. Oh my goodness, girl. It's true. Whenever you're going through things, it could be liberating if you allow it to be. you can become a better person from any and all experiences placed in your life. This doesn't mean you have to place yourself into bad situations or take things that you don't deserve. As a woman, you still need to have that power and that intuition, but you don't have to let those things drag you down. You can use the destruction of an old pattern, person, place, thing to rebuild yourself to an even better, more creative, more knowing, more knowledgeable, more loving person. Okay? It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful gift Kali gives us. It's a beautiful gift we all have within us as goddesses. See, Kali is not scary at all. She is actually very, very loving and very, very kind. She's just very misunderstood. And I don't think it's for everybody to understand unless they want to let go of the illusion or the ego and take the time to understand. I love you guys all so much. Thank you again for being here for today's episode. Till next time, goddesses, remember to always make the best out of any hardship, rebirthing that might come along your way. I love you. Till next time.